Hey guys, Frightener22 here, back with another Cinema Sickness Daily Servings review. Today we're going to take a look at the Rock'em Sock'em robot movie of last year. That's right, we're looking at 2011's Real Steel. Now this film stars Hugh Jackman from the X-Men franchise. He played Wolverine as kind of a down-on-his-luck boxing promoter in the near future where big robots box instead of actual humans. So it isn't until that he's actually reunited with his estranged son that he kind of abandoned at birth, and they both together kind of discover, a junkyard kind of robot that they decide to put their luck on and put all their hard work and effort into, and slowly but surely this kind of nothing junk robot ends up getting a title fight with the biggest and baddest robot on the circuit in the future. Overall, when I first saw the trailers and the TV spots for this movie, I was not impressed, and I really wasn't that interested. I think the reason for that being was that Real Steel had an original date, and then I think its release date got shifted to the fall. So we were seeing trailers around the same time that Transformers 3 was promoting itself. So, like Transformers 3 promotions were all over. It's a huge big budget movie, much like Real Steel, but Transformers 3 was just everywhere. It was the final chapter in that saga, as far as we know, at this point in time. And, eventually Transformers 3 came out, I saw it, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of done with that franchise. And I really had no use for Real Steel, because I kept seeing promotions and advertisements for it, after seeing Transformers 3, and I was like, I'm kind of done with robot movies just for a little bit, and this just didn't really pique my interest. I just kind of didn't really see anything fun in it. Now, fast forward to the fall, right, and I'm hearing a lot of good things about this movie. I'm hearing what a great popcorn flick it was. Reviews are kind of coming in that it was really good. Finally, when it came out theatrically, it did really well for itself. And, about a week ago, when I knew that this was hitting DVD and Blu-ray, I kept hearing, a pretty overwhelming response to this movie. So I said, you know what? I'll take a chance on this. I'll take a blind buy on this because, you know what? All I want to do is be entertained by film. So last night I decided to check this film out, and you know what? I am gladly going to eat my words and my previous notions on what I thought this film was going to be like. This film was a ton of fun. This is like the definition of popcorn flick. I mean, it's movies like this, the Mummy trilogy that starred Brendan Fraser, Prince of Persia, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Sorcerer's Apprentice. It's films like this and those in that vein that kind of give you exactly what you hope to get from your money. And it's awesome. I mean, it doesn't pretend to be anything more than a robot boxing movie in the near future. And it's perfect at that. I mean, it hits all the right notes. It does exactly what it wants to do. When it wants to be funny, it's funny. When it wants to be, kind of a little overly sentimental and heartfelt, it's that. When it just wants to be a kick-ass robot boxing movie, it certainly accomplishes that. So this is just like the movie that knew exactly what it was doing, and it knew exactly its place when it was being made. So I enjoyed the heck out of this movie. It was so much fun. I'm so happy that I decided to do a blind buy on this, because I'm very happy to have this in the collection now, because it was just that good. The cool thing that I did appreciate about this film is that this film takes place in the near future where robot boxing has kind of replaced human boxing. I like the fact that they don't have to waste all this time explaining the whole backstory of why, robots are, taking over boxing instead of humans. They don't waste, like, a whole half hour explaining that. It's just kind of, like, brushed over, like, as time went on, people in the future want more carnage, and humans couldn't keep up with that kind of carnage, so they decided to use robots. Simple, that's it. We don't need to hear anything more. Like, if you're going to see Real Steel, and it's a boxing robot movie, like, we don't need to understand too much. It's either, like, you do or die. You accept, like, the world that this film is taking place in, or, like, don't even bother seeing it. So I just like that they just kind of cut to the chase and, like, that's it. Another thing that I liked is that although this takes place in the future, not even that far in the future, I think it's like 2017 or in like the 2020s, there's nothing really futuristic about the future in this film other than the fact that there's robots, fighting themselves instead of humans. It still looks exactly like the world today. So I kind of like that just because it takes place in the future where there's this one technological advancement. It's not like, oh, there's flying cars here and like every building is this big white, it looks like an Apple store and everything like that. So I kind of like that they kept it very simple and the future is not really that different. Because I think what we've learned in films that try and deal with, near future events and what the environment's going to be is that they never really live up to what the future is really going to be. So I kind of like that they kept it pretty realistic in the future tone. They just kind of made it that, boxing robots are the technological advancement. Again, not a big deal made about it. It's just like, this is the universe that this film is set in, accept it or not. Like, this is, like, where the future has taken us in this film. So I really like the little things about that in this film. It really just makes the film somewhat better because it doesn't waste time on backstory and this is the rules of this world that we live in, yada yada. The relationship between Hugh Jackman and his son, who's played by Dakota Goya, is really, really great. Like I said, funny 1 minute, gooey, heartfelt, sentimental at the other minute, but their chemistry works. It's really good to kind of just see the relationship kind of progress because Hugh Jackman abandoned his kid as a baby and he hasn't seen him in 10, 11 years. So this is kind of like their first time meeting and they're spending an entire summer together traveling across the country, putting this junkyard robot into, boxing matches. So to see their relationship progress, it's really good, and the young actor in this he's actually really great. He keeps up with Hugh Jackman really well, so their relationship on screen and their chemistry is definitely a cool selling point in this film. The visual effects in this are absolutely great. The CGI to do the robot fights is absolutely tremendous. It looks wonderful. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I do think that the visual effects, the special effects in this film have been nominated for an Oscar this year, so rightfully deserved because it looked really cool. This is cool. The film's great because although it's formulaic and some people, might not like it because, they might complain, oh, it's just like Rocky, it's the exact same story, follows the exact same character beats. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't mind if a story's say, predictable or formulaic, as long as it's entertaining and it keeps my interest peaked. It could be a film that I've seen a million times, stealing from a million different movies, but as long as it's done well and I'm entertained, I don't care. And Real Steel does that. Absolutely follows the Rocky formula, like down to like the T of the climax and the final fight. It really is, the quote on the cover kind of sums it up. It's Rocky with robots, a heartwarming movie. It's definitely a reviewer's quote that speaks true of the film. It's exactly like that, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's a totally entertaining popcorn flick, and it's great because you would think, oh, it's talking robot, or, it's boxing robots, how am I going to get invested? You get really invested in these fights as if it was, like, real people, like Rocky Balboa and Apollo Creed beating the hell out of each other. So you get really invested in it, and it's kind of fun because Hugh Jackman and Dakota Goya kind of take the role of the audience where they're kind of ringside, kind of, rooting along and telling the robots what to do. So you kind of feel like they're the audience and like how you're feeling as you're watching these robots fight on screen. So it's really cool, and you get really, really invested in it. Overall, Real Steel is an incredibly fun popcorn flick. I'm so happy that I decided to take a blind buy chance on this, because it's a heck of a film, and I'm absolutely interested in seeing a sequel, because I think there is one in development. So if you're looking for a fun popcorn flick that's really going to suit, your action needs this week, definitely check out Real Steel. I highly doubt you'll be disappointed. Well, guys, that's all the time I got for you this time. Tune in tomorrow for another Cinema Sickness Daily Servings review, and I'll see you here. This has been Frightener22.